Winds of Flame and Blood, Chapter 5, First Part. Can you sense which of us was correct? Gilson asked the doctor. Me or him? The boundless potential of the universe? Or tomorrow propped up by those who crawl upon the ground like insects? Well, it matters not. There's little point in asking you this, but why not let you slake my thirst? When Gilson faced her head-on, the impact was intense. Vera got the feeling the whole world was going to pieces. As Gilson took a casual step forward, he reached out his left hand. Stop. Don't come near me. Everything around Vera became an illusion. Skewered as she was by fear, only she and Gilson were real. Stay back. You can't, I just knew it. You nobles, you really are the devil. No, I'm the Messiah. As Vera retreated, her back hit a stone wall. There was nowhere else to run now. Gilson's hand came to rest on her shoulder. Oh, what's this? The Duke exclaimed with surprise, pulling his hand back. The doctor's body was a blur, and the greater noble's fingertips had felt a blistering pain. When Lilia had been about to give Vera the kiss of the nobility back in Jean's quarters, the doctor had undergone this mental and physical transformation, and now it was happening again. Gazing with satisfaction at the doctor as she lost her human form, Gilson said, "Fascinating. I can only recall witnessing this once before. And after the transformation, the psyche also changed in extremely odd ways. How will she be changed, I wonder?" It must have interested Gilson greatly, but he didn't get a chance to see for himself. Perhaps noticing something, the greater noble of the darkness spun around in a fashion that left the air swirling in his wake, and proceeded to the door of the room where he'd just perpetrated that cruel slaughter. Two figures stood there, one on either side of the corridor, an armored alien warrior and Cray. "So, you've come after all, have you? You know where to find me. Because you have my blood mixed with yours." Gleaming with an unnatural light, Gilson's eyes reflected the pair. "Aliens don't react the same way humans do," the nobleman continued. "However, they are still my servants. Shall we see who is the master and who is the slave? And who the slave?" "Me first," Cray said, stepping forward. The weapon in his right hand might have been an alien knife. Pointing to the alien, he said, "My master's power has changed me. Now I can fight you on equal terms. Face me. And my dead man's blade." Foolish insect. And with that tired epithet, Gilson's scepter stretched. Its beam caught Cray in the chest, which absorbed it the way sandy soil sucks up water. Gilson snorted. "So, you've been coded to absorb beam weapons. That's certainly something their technology could accomplish." The scepter in his fist grew even longer, swinging around neatly. It sped down at Cray's head. It only appeared to be swift, yet the blow was also powerful enough to shatter a boulder. Yet the blow was also power enough to shatter a boulder. As the scepter slashed down at Cray, the outlaw's body darted out of the way like a fish swimming through the rapids. The scepter came back with a whine. Gilson was in no hurry. His opponent had backed off. The nobleman's neck was split halfway through. Fresh blood gushed from it like a fountain. Making no effort to close the wound, Gilson tilted his head back. His own blood poured down on him like rain. Mouth wide open, he let it soak in. And look at the rapture on his face. The way he smacked his lips. He was drinking. His own blood was a fountain, and he was drinking it dry. Both Cray and the alien were rooted in place by this most unsettling scene, but only for a moment. And then Cray's right hand flashed out. Gilson's neck was cut halfway through on the opposite side. The greater noble laughed, but how he produced the sound was a mystery. Grabbing his own hair, he jerked his head up, pulling it clean off with only a few bits of muscle and vein still trailing from it. Pulling it clean off, with only a few bits of muscle and vein still trailing from it. This dead man's blade of yours is impressive. The head dripping lifeblood told Cray. Is its edge thanks to the aliens? At any rate, if it doesn't slay me, it's all rather pointless. As long as you're bound by the musty old legends that all you have to do is cut off a noble's head. Gilson returned his head to his shoulders. A streak of black lightning slammed into his face, blowing brains at the back of his skull. Pulling back the long spear that had been driven through the noble's head, the alien never took his eyes off Gilson. The misshapen mass of flesh and bone began to swell. Flesh formed flesh. Veins knitted together, and red blood pumped through them. Clicking his tongue in disappointment, Cray shut his eyes. He was focusing his concentration for another go with the dead man's blade. With the alien technology on his side, he might have stopped Gilson's regeneration. However, he wasn't able to do that. Behind him, he heard a voice say, "Let go of me, you idiot." When Cray turned in astonishment, his eyes were greeted by two figures. One looked exactly like his master, and it held Lurie, who was thrashing his limbs in an attempt to gain his freedom. Deep beneath the castle, the boy had seen the alien mothership, and after being pursued by an alien who'd returned to it, with Cray, he'd been captured by another alien. But why had he been brought here? Of all places? The reason went without saying. This alien had been bitten by Gilson, and unlike its compatriots, this one had become his servant. As Cray stood still, rooted with amazement, the black scepter pierced his abdomen. Shuddering with an agonized death rattle, the outlaw's body was hoisted into the air. "Oh," Cray groaned, the sound causing spasms in the gloom, while Gilson's laughter hammered the stone walls. Using just the strength of one arm, Gilson dashed the assassin's body against the stone floor. He fell right at the alien's feet. But during all this time, it had been paralyzed, offering Cray no help at all. Needless to say, that was due to tension and shock at the fact that Lurie had been captured by one of its own kind. This was what happened when someone was forced to fight another that knew all their secrets. He's beyond saving now. Child, is there something you wish to say? Yes, you bet your life there is. Let me go. Very well. You may have it your way. As for the other one, the nobleman said, turning an intense look on the enemy alien, I shall dispose of it now. Wait just a moment. Without delay, the alien foe backed away, and a heartbeat later, it had vanished in the distance. Lurie ran over to Cray. When he dropped to his knees by the outlaw's side, tears flew everywhere. Mister, don't die on me. You can't. Cray grinned. In a clear voice he said, My ticker's trashed. It'll stop soon. And once it does, that's all she wrote. No. Let's go find Miss Vera. She'll do something for you. You can't talk like that. Okay. Cray replied, smiling again. He probably looked on Lurie like a clever little nephew. We'll do that, but you know, something might come up anyway. I'm gonna give you something. If you survive and see D again, tell him this. Cray put his right hand into his jacket, rummaged around, and then pulled out 2 small rectangular placards. One's got the name of my lady written on it. Never mind the other one. Have him bury him at the top of the mountain. At the top? Yeah. Seems her home was up here a long time ago. But I met her, she'd gone. Before I met her, she'd come bad in the chest, and she was dead within a year. Before she did, she told me something. Said she was a hooker in a country village now, but she'd been a plain old huntsman's daughter before. And that was when she'd been happiest. And? Lurie said, eyes overflowing with tears once more. Tell her father, the plant is if he can, okay? I thought I could manage it, but that's a laugh. To someone else, I know it must seem like a stupid thing to ask. Just have him do it if he can. It looks like I've had it after all. Mister, no. You've got to hang on. The boy cried out, clinging to the waist of the alien who'd captured him. At some point, Gilson had vanished. Help him. My friend's dying. You could save him. Please. Just do some outer space stuff for him or something. The boy's words floated upward. Having hoisted Lurie into the air, the alien that served Gilson's will put the boy under one arm and walked off down the corridor. Damn it, let go. Let go of me. The boy continued to cry, his voice a mixture of anger and grief. Stop. Cray groaned. Leave the kid here. Damn you, Gilson. What are you going to use him for? It wasn't on account of those words that the alien halted. Mysterious flapping white membranes were flowing toward it from up ahead. Throwing Lurie aside. Mysterious flapping white membranes were flowing toward it from up ahead. Throwing Lurie aside, the alien grabbed the beam gun from its hip and pulled the trigger. and the flash from it struck the approaching object. It pierced the membrane, setting the entire thing aflame. First part, end.